My story begins on an ordinary night when Lucas and I decided to explore an old, abandoned hospital on the outskirts of the city. We knew the place had a reputation for being haunted, but our curiosity was stronger. The hospital, which once was a modern facility, was now immersed in oblivion, its walls broken, and the air thick with the smell of decay. It was the perfect place for those like us, who loved to uncover what lay hidden in the shadows of the unknown. As we walked down the dark corridor, the sound of our footsteps echoed unsettlingly. The atmosphere was heavy, with the damp air and the sensation that something was watching us. With every step, fear increased, but so did the thrill of being there. We were about to discover more about what really happened in that hospital, and what awaited us wouldn't be easy to understand. Then, we heard the first sigh. It wasn't the sound of wind or anything natural. It was a heavy breath, as if someone was there, but not visible. We looked at each other, and Lucas, the braver one, suggested we keep going, thinking it was just the echo of our imagination. But what we felt was too real to ignore. We walked a few more minutes until we reached a room that seemed to be the hospital's central hub. In the center, a circle formed by extinguished candles and scattered objects on the floor indicated that something strange was happening there. On the opposite wall, an old photo was pinned to a frame, a black and white image of a woman, her gaze empty, as if she had been captured in that moment without knowing what was about to happen. Once again, Lucas suggested it was just a superstition, but for me, something was terribly wrong. That's when the voices began. First, a low whisper, almost imperceptible, followed by distant laughter and crying. The air grew cold, and tension filled the space. We tried to leave, but as we approached the door, it slammed shut on its own. The laughter grew louder, and the whispers clearer, as if an invisible presence was drawing nearer. Lucas, although visibly scared, tried to open the door once more, but before we could react, a shadow appeared in front of us. It wasn't a human figure, but something larger, a distorted shape, floating above the floor. Its eyes glowed intensely, and the air around us became oppressive. For a moment, all my instincts told me to run, but fear paralyzed me. The shadow moved closer, and suddenly, a wave of energy overtook our bodies. It felt as though something was trying to control us, forcing us to stay. I could feel the pressure on my chest, my breathing quickening, and my heart racing with every passing second. Then we heard a scream. It wasn't just any scream, but a sound that seemed to come from the depths of the earth, a scream that carried centuries of suffering. The shadow disappeared as quickly as it had appeared, and silence enveloped the place once again. But when we thought it was over, a sense of loss overtook us. The hospital, with its broken walls and shadows, was possessed by something much stronger than we had imagined. From that moment on, the presence in the hospital seemed to follow our every move. The shadows, which were once just an illusion, began to move on their own, and the voices continued, now louder, as if they were surrounding us. We tried to run, but it felt as if the place was swallowing us, not allowing us to escape. When we finally reached the door, it wouldn't open. The place had trapped us. Desperate, we began to scream for help, but the only response was the echo of our own voices. There was no one there to hear us. The hospital was empty, yet it was filled with a presence that didn't belong there. It was as if the suffering of those who had lived there had left indelible marks. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, we managed to escape. We ran out, never looking back. We never spoke about what we saw or what happened in that place. We simply never went back. The hospital, with its shadows and secrets, was left behind, but the memories of everything we went through still haunt me. To this day, I don't know what followed us that night. I don't know if it was a vengeful spirit, a manifestation of suffering, or something the human mind cannot comprehend. All I know is that we can't escape the places that mark us, and sometimes, evil hides where we least expect it. If you liked this story, don't forget to give it a like, comment on what you thought, and subscribe to the channel for more mystery and horror stories. You can also share it with your friends and tell us your own scary experiences. See you next time.